Hey, Spencer.
Yeah?
How much writing are you going to get done when you're quarantined at home for the coronavirus?
I mean, at this point, that's the only way any writing's gonna get done is when I'm forced to not go outside or do anything.
Yeah, I've been kind of hoping I get quarantined. Like, I feel like with my job, I'll probably actually have to, like, do overtime. Like, I'll just be out all the time. Like, God damn it!
Everybody else will get quarantined.
Yeah, and I'll have to fucking save the day. I don't want to do that.
I hate saving the day.
No. I feel like you would also probably have to, like, work overtime while all your, coworkers are dead or dying or whatever's happening.
Work with a lot of elderly folk.
Oh, fuck. They're canceling everything. And now I'm like, oh, man, I'm supposed to go see Joe Rogan in May.
Yeah.
I got that Steve-O stand-up I'm going to in April, so that's probably going to be canceled, I'd imagine.
And then, Three Rivers Con.
Yeah. Oh, there's some good cons coming up. Motherfucking Corona. Whose fault is this? Who do we blame?
Go
on. Say it.
I don't want to say it.
Just say it.
I don't want to.
You know you want to.
No, because if I say it, I'll probably be even more offensive because I'll name the wrong kind,
Ooh.
So, let's leave it there.
Right. Oh, we got a new sponsor today. P.F. Chang's. Oh, man. That's gotta suck for the Chinese fast food business. Like the delivery business and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's a million Chinese food places around here. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but in the last, month, not even, the last couple weeks, there's the Chinese buffet got shut down. There's one in Peters, in the rich area that got shut down.
Wow.
Going out towards Pittsburgh, yeah, because of sanitary reasons.
I just know, a lot of, because there's that big, Emerald City Comic-Con.
Yeah.
They postponed. It's not technically canceled yet.
Postponed.
But, I keep on hearing about how, a lot of the restaurants and hotels and stuff, they rely on that, those big, traveling money, and stuff like that. And how not only is it, affecting the cons and stuff, but it's affecting all the local economy.
Well, E3 just got canceled. And that's one of the biggest, gaming and technology events there is. So,
South by Southwest canceled?
Yeah. Coachella's probably going to be canceled if that's the thing coming up. Everything's canceled. Well, the hashtag on Twitter today was cancel everything. By the time this episode airs, who knows what the world will look like.
Though the best was when you posted the meme or snapshot of Stephen King talking about how Corona's not like The Stand, and the one guy was like, how would you know? You probably never even read it.
Fucker.
I hope that guy,
I think that guy was a troll. Can't be that. He's not that dumb.
I hope so.
Yeah. I think he's just pulling the old, his old Johnson out and showing everybody. Hey there, people. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. Drunken Bullshit Edition. Though neither of us are actually drinking.
No.
Gotta keep my immune system up in case the corona comes to town. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Uruguay Urinator Church. Ooh. What are we talking about today, Spencer?
The link that you just sent me 5 minutes ago is about the 10 best comic book movie adaptations that aren't DC or Marvel.
That's a mouthful.
So people probably won't give a shit.
This is by Screen Rant, written by Savannah DeLeo. Shout out to Savannah. I put this up because this is a new article that just came out, and it's hard to find good new articles.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go through all the introductions and stuff. We'll just go to the list, though. Because, we always talk about the comic book movies, but there's a lot of movies people don't realize were based on comic books. And a couple of the ones on here I was even surprised about. Oh, by the way, did you know Anthony Bourdain had a comic?
Yeah, I think he had 2.
It looked pretty goddamn cool.
Like, I remember, like, one of the graphic novels was something with, like, a chef and having to, like, there was, like, battles, like, kind of like gang battles or something like that, I think. And then I think he had a second one, or he was close to having a second one whenever he died.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that ever got published or not.
I'd imagine it did.
Yeah, as long as it was, done.
Yeah. All right, number 10 on this list of fancy movies. Blue is the warmest color. Came out in 2013, and there's some ladies smooching.
See, I didn't, just quickly going through this, this one I'm not familiar with either.
Is this French?
Maybe. I'm not familiar with either the movie or the comic that it's based off of.
Le Bleu est une couleur chaude is a graphic novel written and illustrated by Julie Moreau. Mara, I'm sorry, Julia. I know I messed up your name because it's, is it French? I don't think that's French. Anyway, so the book was published in 2010. The English language version, Blue is the Warmest Color, also known as Blue Angel, was later published in 2013. The graphic novel received widely positive reviews and was adapted into a film in the same year it was published in English. That's rare that happens.
Yeah, right?
Then again, I guess because it came out in 2010.
Yeah, they probably, they could have seen it beforehand and
read it before. The film version of Blue is the Warmest Color premiered at the 2013 Cannes Film Festival, developed in French with English subtitles. The film followed its source material closely, managing to be just as bleak and heart-wrenching as the graphic novel of the same name. As depressing as it is, this story is still considered to be iconic to this day. I wish they would have gave a synopsis of the actual story.
Yeah,
that's one of the few on, like you said, I haven't heard of that one. I looked at the list.
I might have to check that out whenever I go up to Collins later.
I like me some French stuff. Was that French? Yeah. I'm kind of stupid, people. I don't know. But we're both not the smartest.
Well, we're lucky that we have the whatever grasp we have on the English language, and that's not even like a strong one.
No. Writing career might have been a bad choice. Number 9, Hellboy.
Which, this needs to be higher.
Hellboy needs to be higher. Is this in an order of like just the best, or?
Well, I don't know.
It just says 10.
Yeah, it needs to be higher.
You didn't know. Spencer likes Hellboy because he likes to read the comics like some kind of fucking geek.
Well, I mean, the movies were good too. They were the first 2 movies.
If you say so. I didn't watch them. Not a big Hellboy guy. I don't like that he didn't have the horns.
At times he has horns.
I want a horn all through.
See, I thought you were like, don't you like Rob Perlman though?
No.
Oh, well, I thought you were.
Was he in Sin City? I think he was. I thought,
no.
not the first one, the sequel.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I didn't watch the sequel.
I remember something with his weird ass head. I don't have a problem with Ron Perlman. I just never really got into the Hellboy stuff. For those who don't know, I guess we should probably read it anyway. Hellboy is a character that first began appearing in 1993 in miniseries and one-shots before the first full-length graphic novel, Hellboy, Seed of Destruction, was published by Dark Horse Comics in 1994. In 2004, the first of multiple Hellboy film adaptations was released in theaters. Guillermo del Toro wrote, directed, and produced the first Hellboy film, which is why it was awesome.
Yeah.
Though it only loosely followed its source material and virtually created its own lore for the notorious superhero, Del Toro's film is widely regarded as the best adaptation of this character and story.
This is another reason why I thought you would have checked it out, because because of Del Toro, I figured you were big kind of, and it got monsters and stuff in it.
I like monsters.
Yeah. I know you do. That's why I thought you would. Homework.
Yeah. See, Hellboy is one of those things where it's just like, I only have so much time. It's like sometimes you gotta cut off things. Like I never watched The Wire because I can't.
The Wire's great. go into that real quick.
I understand it's great. It's always gonna be great.
Look, I'm not saying you have to watch the new Hellboy, but you should probably watch the first 2.
Well, if the coronavirus comes to town and I'm quarantined, then I'll have some free time.
Yeah.
Number 8, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. That came out in 2010. In August of 2004, Canadian author and illustrator Brian Lee O'Malley created the first volume of his soon-to-be cult classic comic series, Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life, was published by Oni Press, and would later be followed up by 5 more volumes. The comic series concluded in 2010, the same year that the film adaptation, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, was released worldwide. Today, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is considered to be one of the most accurate, iconic examples of a classic comic series brought to life, With its popping, vibrant imagery and unerring casting, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is fondly remembered and well loved to this day. Starring one Chris Evans as the bad boyfriend.
Yeah, I
never watched that movie, actually.
I've never watched the movie, I knew of them, but I never watched the movie and never read because I think that the graphic novels are supposed to be slider to a young age kind of thing. But I never watched the movie because of the star.
You're not a Michael Cera guy?
To those that know me well, no, I'm not.
Never watched Arrested Development?
I liked the rest of the development, but I didn't like him.
Fair enough.
He's like a worse version of
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes.
That's a episode for another day discussing those two. I don't like either of them. Oh, fuck. Sorry, I clicked off the thing. Number 7, now this one was interesting for me. Old Boy, 2003. Old Boy is a Japanese manga series that ran from 96 to 98, spanning 8 volumes and 79 collective chapters. Being a complex and multi-layered story, bringing it to life on the big screen was definitely not an easy task. But in 2003, director Park Chan-wook adapted the Old Boy series into a critically acclaimed award-winning film by the same name. The film adaptation of Old Boy is often considered to be one of the most disturbing movies to come out of the 2000s. It's still talked about to this day, and it's worth noting that the 2003 adaptation of Old Boy still garners much more recognition than the more recent 2013 adaptation. I've actually only watched the Josh Brolin 2013 adaptation, and that was fucked up. I
didn't see that one, but I saw the Japanese version because our former coworker Alan, he was always into that stuff, so he had the movie and he let me borrow it. And yes, if it's anything like that version, it is fucked up. I never read the manga though, or manga, however you wanna.
Incest in the morning.
Whew.
Yucky.
Yeah.
It's a very gross revenge plot.
So messed up.
Number 6, A History of Violence, 2005. I did not know this was a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Before the 2005 hit film was released, a graphic novel titled A History of Violence was published in 1997, written by John Wagner and illustrated by Vince Locke, originally published by a rather obscure company, Paradox Press. This standalone graphic novel did not garner much attention until its film adaptation hit theaters nearly 10 years later. Some don't even know that this film was inspired by a graphic novel, which is understandable as its tone and visuals bear striking differences from other film adapted from comics.
Let's see, I've actually read and watched both versions of that.
What did you think?
They were good. Obviously I like the super hyper violence of the movie.
Right.
If I remember correctly though, especially the ending was a little bit different, but it was still pretty good. If I remember one time, I'll bring it over so you can
not watch it.
Well, no, you can leap through it and check it out.
Yes, maybe, perhaps one day that'll be a thing I do. Number 5, Persepolis, came out in 2007. This looks a little funky. The first Persepolis graphic novel was published in 2000 and depicted the life of author and illustrator Marjane Satrapi and her experience growing up during the Islamic Revolution. Persepolis was later followed up with a sequel that was published in 2004, and a film adaptation of the same name was released in 2007. With strong social commentary, both the novels and the film version of Persepolis remains relevant to this day. The story is timeless and was beautifully brought to life in a memorably animated film.
I've never heard of that.
Persepolis. You're not keen on the foreign...
No, I'm not.
The foreign graphic novels here, are you?
No, I don't...
I actually
see them anywhere.
I actually thought about looking up the top graphic novels, foreign graphic novels or foreign comic book writers.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be here all day.
Right.
Number 4. I actually watched this a couple months ago. It was so cool. It was a good movie. Snowpiercer, 2013. Snowpiercer was originally published in French entitled Le Transpersonnage. Transpersonnage. How would you pronounce that?
Really?
Le Transpersonnage.
Sounds about as good as anything that would come out of my mouth.
It was released in 1982 by the company Casterman, and it wasn't until decades later in 2014 that an English version of this cult classic was released. That must have been really shitty in 1982. Plowing through fucking mountains and shit.
Oh, yeah.
A year before that, however, Academy Award-winning director Bong Joon-ho Bong Joon-ho wrote and directed a film adaptation of the French graphic novel. The critically and commercially acclaimed film called attention to its source material, with the English version being published shortly after the film's worldwide debut. I did not know that was a French graphic novel.
I knew that it was based off of a graphic novel. Then later on, I found out it being, from a different country. I didn't check it out, but I have seen the trade, at stores that I was thinking about picking it up one day. Now I might have a reason to.
There you go.
But again, we could almost do this list and it just be like 10 Chris Evans comic book adaptations.
Yeah, I didn't realize he's so many comic book themed movies. Yeah. Fantastic Four, Snowpiercer, Captain America, Scott Pilgrim.
It's probably not going to be under here, but he was in The Losers.
Yeah.
And that was a Vertigo book, which was, I think it was Vertigo. If not, it was Image, and then if it was, it should have definitely been on here, but if it's Vertigo, it's like a branch of DC, so.
All right. Speaking of Chris Evans, did we talk about Knives Out? I just watched that.
Weekend. I remember you telling me that it was, no, maybe not. I remember you telling me you wanted to try to watch it.
Yeah, I watched it and it was poopy.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't like it. I thought it was boring and predictable.
Oh, okay.
It was stupid. I didn't like it.
Wait,
I'm never gonna like it.
Maybe we'll say more of that to the end.
Fuck, fine.
We're almost done.
I wanted to yell about goddamn movie. I spent $6 at the rent. Number 3, The Mask, 1994. They cannot do this one because I don't see how you can without Jim Carrey. Like, reboot it because they've been talking about it forever.
Well, they tried that one time.
Oh, yeah, they did Jamie Kennedy, and it was fuck awful. Out of everybody, too, Jamie Kennedy, who's just like Jim Carrey, who's a comedic genius with great physical facial mannerisms and body mannerisms that could perfectly display the mask as a human living thing. Jamie Kennedy. Fucking B-Rad-G.
I don't think it was even him, because wasn't it like the son of the mask? Wasn't it like his baby?
I don't know. Fucking watch that garbage. In 1991, the first installment of author Doug Mankey and illustrator John Arcudi's limited series was published by Dark Horse Comics. The original series consisted of 3 volumes, The Mask Returns, and The Mask Strikes Back, and concluded in 1995. However, more installments and spin-offs would succeed it later on. In 1994, while the comic book series was still in its prime, a film adaptation, the story hit theaters. Why is it weird like that?
Typos.
The film was made. This was, of course, yeah, I feel like when I read these, sometimes I sound like I'm a little special, and that's because there's typos in here that I just say. I'm like Ron Burgundy.
No, you just read what it's
Yeah, just read whatever's written. This was, of course, titled The Mask and starring Jim Carrey as the lead character, Stanley Ipkiss, the dorky bank clerk whose life is changed forever when he encounters the titular supernatural mask. That was a good movie. It was fun. Very fun.
Back whenever Cameron Diaz was still attractive.
She got weird looking, didn't she? Her face got like...
kind of mask-like?
The same, but mask-like. I don't know. Age, man, it gets something. Because she's like, I don't know. She's not Cuban. She's some kind of Latin, though.
Oh, really?
Diaz? Come on.
Oh, well, yeah.
Where she gets, like, I don't know if her blonde hair is natural, but yeah, she got, like, the moon face. Like, it never was that round. I don't know.
I actually remember before we were at book club, there was, like, a big collection of mask books, and I was looking at it, and what did you say, Caleb? Put it back. You ain't never gonna mess with that. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
Did I say that?
Something along them lines. You're like, you ain't never gonna read that. And I was like, probably.
That sounds like it's something I do. I like to bully you out of...
I still want it, though.
I like bullying you out of reading stuff.
Because that's always something I always wanted to see, how the movie... like,
compared, yeah.
To, what they... Because I could only imagine the shit that they got away with in the book compared to what they couldn't do in the movie.
I mean, you can read it if you want. I'm not going to stop you. But you don't have to read it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books out there.
There's a lot of stuff to read.
You don't got to read the Mask, Spencer. Only if you really want to. Number 2. See, that's what you do, is you make the person think it's their idea that they don't want to read it. The only reason I didn't want you to read it was the reason I don't want you to read a lot of things is because then you'll give it to me to read.
Yeah.
And I don't want to read it. And that's how we always go down this road.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Number 2, Ghost World, 2001. I didn't know this was a comic either, but it makes sense. The first appearance of what would later become a cult classic story came in author and illustrator Daniel Close's comic series 8 Ball. That's why I didn't know. It was a different name. After the acclaim of said story, it was published as its own standalone graphic novel titled Ghost World. Well, I'm a liar. This occurred in 1997, and in 2001, a film adaptation of the renowned comic book was released. Bringing Ghost World to life on the big screen was achieved on a small budget, but was nonetheless a success. It starred Scarlett Johansson. I didn't know young ScarJo. She had to be like, what, fucking 15?
Probably.
She's
been acting since she was like really young, I think.
It stars ScarJo and Thora Birch as the lead characters, Rebecca and Enid, and was even nominated for an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. Sometimes I feel like they just give those out like just a random, like, who the fuck is this?
Like, who decides that?
Yeah, I never heard of, like, because you have to read, the judge, you have to read the whole screenplay, right?
I would think so.
And that's a lot of screenplays. And they don't even watch all the movies that are nominated, let alone read the screenplays. And they just pick the name they like the most. The film had its worldwide premiere at the Seattle International Film Festival. Internation? Really? Seattle Internation Film Festival? Do you think that's correct? Or do you think they just fucking dropped some letters there? Screen Rant, you're really fucking up. I thought you had an editor over there. Like, isn't this a bigger goddamn site? Like a media company? You need somebody to... If you need an editor for hire, Caleb James is the man to do it. Screen Rant. Anyway, it was not a commercial success. It was a giant flop. Everybody fucking hated it. But it did earn a cult following and holds a respectable reputation. But everybody still hated it at the time of release.
Yeah, I'm not sure with either. I've never checked out either of those.
And number 1, you read these, right? 30 Days a Night.
I definitely read the first volume, and then I think I had to grab a couple of like the kind of the one-off things. I haven't like read the whole thing.
Is it about vampires in Alaska?
Yeah.
That's about it. In August of 2003, the first of 3 issues of Steve Niles' 30 Days of Night comic miniseries was published. Following that, the other 2 issues of the horror graphic novel series were published in September and October of that same year. The series did not initially receive much recognition until it was eventually adapted into a film in 2007. Bringing this dark story to life was no easy task, nor was doing justice to the comic book's illustrator, Ben Templesmith's haunting and gruesome take on vampires. I like Ben Templesmith because that's like 2 last names in one.
Yeah.
But the film adaptation 30 Days of Night was a success nonetheless, calling attention to both the source material and the vampire genre in general. I'd never read the word adaptation so many times out loud. So, to surmise this whole thing, Knives Out was fucking boring. I did not care. Okay,
you didn't like all the twists?
No, there was no twist. Here's where it started off where you meet the characters, right?
Yeah.
I like that. The characters are fun. The acting's good. I enjoyed all the characters for the most part. Daniel Craig was he was a mysterious detective guy that's kind of there.
Did his accent ever get annoying?
No, not really, because he was kind of good. What's the thing though? His character started off as like, oh, he's like a mysterious whatever, and he's all right, leave him alone. And he seemed like Nigel really liked the movie. So.
He's upset.
He doesn't. Yeah, he save your disagreements till the end, buddy. Anyway, so he like starts off as like seeming like he's smart, and then he becomes like a complete bumbling idiot, and then he all of a sudden is like smart again.
So he Columbo'd it?
Yeah, but then it's like, was he smart? Like, I don't know. That was stupid. But the problem with the whole fucking movie is 2 main things for me. One, at all this eclectic cast of crazy characters that you enjoy, and you get the little stories and stuff. You're like, oh, because it's a whodunit, so it tells you like how they might be involved and stuff. All of them are entertaining. You want to hear about all of them. So what do? Give them very little screen time and give the maid of the story, the main protagonist, who's the most boring character in the whole fucking movie, she gets the most screen time. She is constantly there, and you have to just be like, ugh. Second part, okay, there's 3 things I disliked about this. Okay. The second part, you knew it wasn't the girl who was the main, because, they always leave it up to, like that, oh, maybe this person would be the killer. That's how whodunit. Everybody could be a killer. Yeah. Well, she can't because whenever she tries to lie, she throws up. So immediately that's in play, and then she can't lie, so and then it shows her part of the story, not in because everybody else tells their story so they can lie to the detectives. They leave out bits, but you see it play out.
With each person, you get a different part of the story. Yeah,
so you see their stories play out, but then you hear them lying about what you just watched. With her, it's not that. It's not her telling anybody. It just shows her story. So it's like, oh, well, she's not at fault here, so she's not the killer. So the main person is out of the picture, which sucks. Third thing, like I said, how they focus on her. Well, the big plot point of this was, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but the big plot point is her mom is an illegal immigrant. So she, it's hard to say this without giving away the story, but because her mom's an illegal immigrant, if she got busted for the murder, deported. Well, her mom would get deported and like some other shenanigans went on. So she has to cover up what actually happened, even though she wasn't really at fault.
Yeah.
And that was like, okay, that could be cool if you got to meet the mom and gave a shit about her at all. Oh, but you don't. Okay. She's on screen for literally like 2 sentences. It's like, well, why do I care what happens to the mom? I don't know her. They just did such a piss poor job of the main person and then her family and her reasons. And it just, that was poopy. But I did like...
what was the third?
That was the third.
Oh, okay.
Second was the throwing up, and the first was just her being really boring. But then, like, Jamie Lee Curtis, great. Chris Evans, great.
Also, your main problem is, like, just with, like, if they took this character out, if they got rid of that character.
If they made her...
Or fixed that character.
Either made her more enjoyable, or made her, like... the backup character. See, it's hard because they center the story around her, which would be fine. It's just you don't really care about her. They don't give you a reason to care about her.
What do you think the story would center around the Daniel Craig character? You would think, right? Because he's the one trying to figure out what's going on. So you would think everything would have to be like through his lens.
No, they just play him as like a plot device. Like he's just the reason why, because they said like the whole thing is the patriarch or like the rich dad guy like committed suicide randomly, and then they're gonna fight over the will and all that stuff because it's all the kids and everything. And the Daniel Craig character is hired by somebody who he doesn't know who hired him to solve the mystery or some shit, and he's just used as a plot device because if it wasn't for him, the cops are just like, oh, that's a clear suicide, case closed. Yeah. So he's the reason why the case keeps opening because he wants to keep investigating, which doesn't make sense either because he didn't know who hired him. They just sent him a big wad of money. Just fucking, okay, I said it was a suicide, game over. And then, which that was really fucking stupid too, the conclusion of that. But he just kind of faded in and out. Again, the main who got the most screen time was this maid that you don't give a shit about. So if they just made her character a little more interesting, not so bumbling and boring, it would have been a better movie.
See, I heard that they're supposed to be doing a sequel.
I don't know if I'm going to watch it.
No, I don't know if that's supposed to, like, what would they say? A sequel, like, they mean, like, something happens with the whole new family, or if it's a continuation with, like, this family.
I think it would have to be a new family. I hope it would be. Because I like whodunits. But it's hard to do them right. And this one, the story was there, but I really feel this was one of those movies that the media hyped up a lot, and then people just kind of went on the train and was like, yeah, because again, it's a fun movie. If you go into it not thinking, because I literally solved the movie in the first 20 minutes, and I'm actually like not really good at solving mystery things like that because writers usually have pretty good twist in there. But this one, I solved right away, and I was like, oh, that'd be so stupid if that's how it went down.
It probably got a lot more hype because of, like, the cast, like the big cast that it has. And see, the thing that I heard about it was just kind of like, it kept on, would take you on these different, like, twists and stuff, and then it just kind of stopped. And I think it was Mark Bernard I was listening to was saying, like, if they just did, like, more, if they just stayed with like the twisting, like it would have been,
Yeah. Well, like I said, each character had a great motive to kill the old man. Like they set that up so every character had a motive.
Real shitty dad.
No, they were shitty.
Okay.
He was like a great dad that gave them all money and then cut them off.
Okay.
For various reasons, and that's why they had a motive to kill him because they got cut off of the money. But like I said, that was all great. And if, like you were just saying about the twist and stuff, if they would go into each one, like whatever twist they went on, if they just followed that, it'd be great. Yeah. But they didn't. They gave away well, obviously it's a murder. It's a mystery. They gave away the murder relatively soon. They show you exactly what happened to the old man. And it's really fucking stupid. And then, obviously, there's a plot twist to that happens a little later, at the end and stuff. But it wasn't satisfying. You already, like I said, I guessed it really quickly. And especially as soon as they showed that, I was like, well, I obviously know what happened here. Because you get a kind of, the maid is the reason he's dead. But it shows the whole scene of her being there and, like, some kind of accident happened. And it's just like, this is fucking dumb. It's not worth your time.
No, what I started the HBO show The Outsiders.
I started watching the first episode on the weekend, but I wasn't in the right mind state. So I was like, I'm going to start this at a better...
It's definitely a movie where you have to have time put aside.
Because each episode's like an hour.
Yeah. And then just like it's kind of like a cop mystery thriller with like supernatural things. Mm-hmm. So, you gotta like... dates and times and places, like, you know what I mean? It's not one of those things you could like have on where you're just like, sitting on the couch like trying to bullshit with the missus or something, like, what I mean?
Yeah, that's like how. So that'd be better to maybe this weekend I'll get into it or something. There's a lot of TV shows out right now.
You want to know what I wasted my day doing? Watching the first like 3 hours of a 4-hour documentary series on how the McDonald's Monopoly game was rigged.
My sister was telling me about that, and I was like, yeah, because nobody ever won.
Well, no, people won. It was just everybody in the same family won.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, no actual, like, regular citizens.
Yeah.
Like, she said from it, you couldn't even actually win by getting food. You had to do something with some magazine submission or something.
Well, they were like, because I guess back then, because in the early 90s, they would have ads in magazines where you could peel off the things. But like, because I didn't finish it, but it was like this mobster guy had like an inn and he was selling like and I don't know why he would do this, but he was selling like what you would need to win like the $1 million for like $50,000. But I guess because like he can't, it's not like how many $1 million tickets can he turn in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Seems like the fucking things that aggravate me. And on that note, I think Nitro wants to eat dinner because he's fucking hungry. Are you hungry? You hungry? He always wants the goddamn water when it's locked up. I don't understand. It's out all day and he doesn't want to touch it. As soon as I close the thing to plug in the podcast stuff, don't yell at me. You want to be on the podcast? Come here. Go ahead. Speak. Yeah. Is that what people want to hear? All right, folks. Well, that was a rousing episode for your... Sometimes we need one of these chill, boring episodes where we don't talk about anything important. All right, I'm hurrying it up.
We're finishing, bud. We're finishing.
If you want to see what we're doing, you can go to drunkenpenwriting.com. You can follow us on Twitter at drunkenpenwriting, on Instagram at drunkenpenwriting, or Facebook at drunkenpenwriting. If you would like, he's getting vicious. If you would, okay, bye.
What's that? It's coming to the night.